And if someone wants to know why their own government has decided to go on a fishing expedition through every personal record or private document, through the library books that you read, the phone calls that you've made, nobody is listening to your telephone calls. What the intelligence community is doing is looking at phone numbers and durations of calls. There are Republican senators as well as Democratic senators that recognize that it's plain wrong. Every member of Congress has been briefed on this program. These are programs that have been authorized by broad bipartisan majorities repeatedly since 2006.
When I'm president, one of the first things I'm going to do is call in my attorney general and say to him or her, I want you to review every executive order that's been issued by George Bush.
And I think it's interesting that there's some folks on the left, but also some folks on the right who are now worried about it, who weren't very worried about it when it was a Republican president. As for our common defense, we reject as false the choice between our safety and our ideals. You can't have 100% security and also then have 100% privacy. We need to find a way forward to make sure that we can stop terrorists while protecting privacy and liberty of innocent Americans. You can complain about Big Brother, but when you actually look at the details, then I think we've struck the right balance. All right? Thank you very much, guys.
Before you two debate, Juan, I want your reaction to Obama candidate debating Obama president. What did you think of that? It was so contradictory.
Well, one guy's a senator, and he's free to criticize and be sort of a, a freewheeling critic, but the other man's president of the United States, and his obligation is to protect us, Sean. So the back and forth here, I think the tit and tat is you and the ACLU. I can't believe that my man, Sean Hannity, is now standing up with the ACLU. I think a lot of the conservatives in the audience are going to be like, what's going on here?
Well, I actually support the NSA program, and I support the PATRIOT Act David Limbaugh has written, and the PATRIOT Act is very clear. The PATRIOT Act says that this is designed to go after foreign nationals, and any Americans would only be looked at if, in fact, they were connected to people that are targets.
I can't believe my good buddy Juan is that cavalier about excusing President Obama for saying things about very important matters when he's running for Commander-in-Chief of the United States and setting a different standard when he's president. I think he ought to be held to the same standard. Did he mean it or did he not? Obama claims he's transparent. If we could find out the facts about this case, we might settle down some emotions, but Obama is the least transparent president we've ever seen, and so we probably can't get to the facts, and that's what we really need to do.
Well, hang on a second, David. Hang on a second, David. In other words, David, first and foremost, you realize that the Republican majority in the House will never, ever do anything to this program because they don't want to be in a position of saying that they are taking away from law enforcement tools to deal with terrorists. And I don't imagine that anybody in the Senate's going to take it away. And so you say, oh, Obama's not being transparent? This is a legal program, one that's been authorized by the government. Well, the PATRIOT Act is there. The Congress is engaged in oversight. Mike Rogers, Republican Intelligence Committee, says it's fine. Dianne Feinstein, Democrat, Senate Intelligence, it's fine.
Hang on a second.
So
let me interrupt here. David, I interviewed the author of the PATRIOT Act, Jim Sensenbrenner. He says that this fishing expedition is not within the law, that it is not allowed, and that it is against the spirit of the law and the written words in the law. Your thoughts as a lawyer?
Well, I'm not an expert on the PATRIOT Act, but there are some lawyers that I respect who think that it is within the law. So I don't think we ought to turn everything on jumping to conclusions about whether something is constitutional or whether it's statutorily allowed. We need to find out. We need to study that and separate our emotions from that. I hate the gathering of this metadata, but I can't say just because I hate it, it's not authorized under the law. Jim Sensenbrenner, I really like him, and I trust that he's telling the truth when he says he didn't intend for the act to authorize it, but did the act in writing actually authorize it? I mean, there's two different questions.
That's a great point.
Sensenbrenner intended. But I'm so for
Great
once in my
point.
life I'm ambivalent.
Amen, David. He passed the Patriot Act.
Oh, no, you're agreeing with me.
By
I
the
take
way,
it back.
No. Well, but I thought you spoke the truth. Wait, we've got to look into it. I'm all for the debate. Sean's all for the debate. But the fact is, it was passed by the U.S. Congress. The time for this discussion was talk about emotions. After 9/11, everybody, I think there was 1 or 2 senators who voted against, Russ Feingold voted against the Patriot Act. Everybody else was leaping on the bandwagon. And at that point, there were people who were saying, hey, I think we're giving away too much. Now that we have a homeland security infrastructure, you have all this collection, I think there are a lot of Johnny-come-latelys who are shooting ourselves. You can't allow the terrorists the upper hand, otherwise we're going to get blown up.
Although nobody trusts Obama because he claims we're not even in a war. We're not even in a war, so why does he want to be gathering all this metadata in the first place?
Wait a second.
And does
now
the law actually authorize it? We need to know, hold on, we need to know whether the law really does authorize it and what we're really aiming to get. I want to find out from experts if gathering this kind of metadata will actually prevent any acts of terrorism.
I have a question. Let me ask this question to Juan, because candidate Obama promised one thing, and then he's doing something very different. Isn't it the least efficient way, Juan, to have a fishing expedition? This reminds me of targeting grandma and a 4-year-old in a stroller versus a Yemeni exchange student at the TSA. It seems that we could be more efficient in targeting terrorists, not every American and all of their correspondence.
Well, it would be wonderful if we knew all the terrorists before they committed the terror act. But the fact is that in this environment, especially with people like the Sarnaya brothers in Boston, you've got to be on the lookout for these lone wolves, people who are involved in activities, people who are making those overseas calls. By the way, Sean, again, under the PRISM program, it's only people overseas who are targeted, not American citizens.
Hang on a second. No, that's Yahoo, that's Microsoft, that's Google.
Yeah, they're capturing communications coming from overseas.
Okay, but it also is captured with Americans, and they acknowledge that in many occasions they did, in fact, spy on Americans.
No, not spy on Americans.
It's a very dangerous situation.
All right, guys.
It
good
is,
to see you
but you guys said it's right. We need the debate.
Well,
I hope Sean, I hope we can find out through all this by looking at past records whether President Obama actually attended Columbia. Did he make any calls to Columbia University?